Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. Right, so I actually didn't upload War 4 just because, for the simple reason that I did not really have many fights. I think I only had like 3 or 4 fights in this war, and all of them were Kingpin, and all of them were over in like under a minute, so I didn't feel like making a separate video for War 4. So we're just gonna cover it here at the start, and then we're gonna move on to War 5. So in War 4 we were up against PALO, definitely a Masters level alliance. I have a full-on Kingpin team, and I am on path 9, and then I believe on path 3, but there's only one fight for me on path 3, so it was very easy, no kind of like mini boss fights. So this is a hazard, shift, poison, and incinerate. I'm using Kingpin with a full-on Trinity. That means whenever opponents activate a special attack, they get power locked for 5 seconds, and I have 100% chance to shrug off debuffs. And all of that in combination means that Kingpin is an absolute machine for destruction, and that is exactly what he does. Now, this small man fight, both of these fights I actually had done already before with Kingpin, and he just destroys them. It is a really an easy job. Only reason I use that combat regeneration 3-minute boost is because I have some expiring. Rather use them than let them expire, and even without them, you know, the fight would not change at all. So here I get to level 2, wonderful. Shrug off all the debuffs, get the rage buff active, get some healing going. Now I want him to use special, well, I wanted ideally him to use special attack, he didn't. But we're just gonna smack that Mole Man and Kingpin. It's kind of like a very good matchup then, because both of them got buffed, and both of them are top 5 skill champions in my opinion, and both of them are some of my favorites. So this is a very interesting matchup. Doesn't really want to use his level 2 here, but eventually he does, and as soon as he does, the fight's pretty much over. So this one went slightly over a minute. Next up, the shared fight with Blood in the Water, Hazard Shift, Incinerate, Poison against Dragon Man. And, you know, Kingpin is going to get the job done. No problems, no worries. We're just going to get in there and keep on cracking. So, activate a level 1, perfect. Parried that first power charge. Now I'm just going to block it to get rid of his power charge once again. It's also power locked, he's degenning, and, you know, Kingpin is just putting in easy work here. It was very easy war here for Kingpin. And then I had one more fight against Silver Surfer, and that's pretty much after the global goes down. So I was just there in time waiting because I saw somebody's in the boss fight already. So I bring in Kingpin, and he can inflict bleed on me if he has an armor buff. But if I don't have an armor, if he does not have an armor buff, I have absolutely nothing to worry about. On top of that, I'm guaranteed to shrug off that bleed immediately. So even though Kingpin is not bleed immune, and your traditional description would always go for you must have a bleed immune champion for this fight, Kingpin does it well, especially in this matchup here. Absolutely no worries. Because Silver Surfer does not actually get a single armor buff throughout the entire fight either, so it's all good. Ideally, I wanted him to use that level 1. He doesn't really want to do it, and then I'm just gonna smack him a bit more, and now he finally does. He's power locked. I'm gonna go in for another combo, and that's it. We did end up winning that war against PALO. Now, much later on, I actually need to find the war pictures, because these are the pictures that I'm going to be using for the next video. Where are the war fights? They should be somewhere here. One second, folks. Here we are. No, here we are. One second. A bit later. There we are. Next war is against ASR. I'm using Nick Fury, Black Widow, Clairvoyant, Mr. Fantastic. Mr. Fantastic here is for his pre-fight abilities. I'm on path 5 in section 1. I need to deal with Mr. Negative and Mordo. And after that, I need to deal with Silver Surfer, Scarlet Witch Sigil, Nimrod, Storm Pyramid X, and Yellow Jacket. So this is a bit more substantial war. However, this war absolutely fobbed me off. Honestly, as a result of this war, I just don't have any confidence in, I don't know, my phone, my device, or myself, or most likely the game functioning properly. And we're gonna get to it. Now I'm gonna have some very good words to say. But first I need to deal with this fight. And here I am again, Mr. Negative. So he has Ebb and Flow knockdown. But knocking him down in this matchup in particular is not necessarily the best idea. Because when we do, he goes debuff immune. And obviously Nick Fury wants opponents to have debuffs, those bleeds on. And on top of that, if I do knock him down, he will eventually purify my bleeds as well. Just kind of annoying. And Mr. Negative itself, when he gets knocked down, he converts his charges, he activates his reverse controls and all that stuff, which we kind of want to avoid. So after the initial knockdown, I just stayed clear from it and finished it with regular combos, finishing with lights. Now we are going up against Mordo. Why not? Now, this is actually a fairly tricky placement here, obviously, because Mystic Defender with Mystic Dispersion, and I can't punish his heavy attacks. But in reality, it actually kind of makes it easier, the fact that this is Mordo, because he gains power, plenty, and I can't punish heavy attacks. But when he gets that power gain buff, it often gives me a chance just to drop a random heavy attack. And also, thanks to that power gain, he gets to his special attacks quicker. And as long as he throws his special attacks, I get openings afterwards. So this matchup actually is very tricky at a first glance. But because of the extra power gain, it's not all that bad. And only thing you need is for Mordo to cooperate. And even if something should go wrong, this is Nick Fury. I had Indestructible 3 boost active, and I think I only used 1 hit of those, or maybe 2, so I still have the Indestructibility if I need to use level 3, and after that, Mordo's level 3 doesn't really do all that much damage, and even if it does, I can eat a fair bunch of them in between Life Model Decoy and real Nick Fury, so I wasn't worried in this fight, like, at all. You know, it's not the quickest fight, because Life Model Decoy Nick Fury doesn't have the highest damage output, but thanks to boosts, thanks to deep wounds, all that other stuff, more than enough. And here we are at the finish. And he is gonna finish. There I knew that I'm hitting an unstoppable opponent, but also saw that he only has a couple of % health left. And I knew he's going to be enough. Next up, we have Silver Surfer, so activate Mutant Power Boosts. And Silver Surfer here is a fairly common placement. I have fought him already several times here. It really isn't anything too tricky. And he's one of those options that you can actually go up against really even without a bleed immune, because you can often control whether he does or does not get that armor buff. Obviously better to have bleed immune. That's why I am staying in the Poison Curse, thanks to the Mystic Power back boosts, thanks to Mystic Dispersion, and all that other good stuff. I get to manage the high ground charges extremely well. In this fight, they do not become an issue whatsoever, because of level 2 being so many hits. I can easily kind of match the pace, even if it and perhaps even go above and beyond those what's needed for high ground charge. I think there was initially where I just had too many hits, so I kind of outrun those high ground charges. Now I do eat a level 1 here. I still had that Indestructible boost active, but it's not going to be an issue, especially because I'm in Bleed Curse. I heal, he places armor breaks on me. All that gives me willpower healing, and it's a very straightforward fight, where even without Indestructible boost, it would have been easy. Now I'm going to be going up against Scarlet Witch Sigil, and this is going to be my first time in the war ever going up against this champion. And this is also going to be the first time when my control input issues are going to start showing, which will plague the rest of this war, definitely. But even besides that, I kind of understood on paper why Scarlet Witch Sigil can be a scary opponent. But now I have had first-hand experience, and this is a very, very unnerving fight. And the reason for that is, even with Black Widow, where here, for instance, my decks again didn't want to work, but even with Black Widow Clairvoyant, where I can place buff immunity on her for a substantial amount of time, which means that she will not randomly go unblockable. But I still get buffs. And because of that, there were several points in the fight where, had she not thrown her special attack, she could very easily get to those level 2s. And it's very easy to see how this fight can get out of control. Now, part of the reason to counter that is me staying in the poison curse, because that does give me more power control. I can drain her power, I gain some power back myself. On top of that, I do have mystic power back boosts also, and you know, that kind of made this fight manageable. But it was definitely a fairly scary fight, where you can see that my buffs expire, she gained chunks of power immediately, and even though I continuously power drain her or power steal her, she still gets to throw quite a lot of special attacks. So the fight went relatively smooth, but I can definitely understand why she gets kills and why she can be scary. Now this Nimrod fight. Now I hate this Nimrod fight, but I had done it once already, which actually might have given me a bit of false sense of security. And there is a definite error in this fight on my part as well. But this is where it kind of starts going downhill. This is where rage is about blowing. I wasn't too afraid of this fight anymore because I had done it previously successfully. I just knew that I need to get in some parry heavies. Don't need to mind too much of those charges. Everything's fine. And, you know, I just need to outweigh that power lock. Here, unfortunately, he activated his level 1, which is something I wished he wouldn't have. And because of that, I had to quickly get in my heavy attack, which effectively made sure that I get 3 bars of power, which was definitely something I didn't want to do. Looking back, this was a critical mistake. Had I paid closer attention to the power lock timer and knew exactly when it comes back, I would have been in much, much better position for the rest of the fight. Because now, you know, I again need to get to my level 2, then I need to drop it, and I'm going to make a mistake in a second. Here, where I nearly made a mistake, but this is still fine. This is still fine. I think the mistake is about to follow, where I am biding my time, but I also need to refresh the debuff. So I heavy him, and I heavy him again to gain power, but here he activates his level 2. And here my dexterity just decides to stop working. I'm swiping as hard as I could, and my dexterity, this was the first, actually, I think the second time, I think, in the war where my dexterity just stopped working. I was dexing that thing. And even though we can see that Indestructibles absorbed all the damage from the hits themselves, this shock damage was so huge on that Nimrod that I went from 100% to 0. So through Indestructible boost, I had that level 2. Now, granted, this might have been like my error. Maybe, you know, I don't know, didn't dex the right time, even though I was confident that I was dexing. But nothing happened. And this is going to be very consistent with everything that's about to follow. So now I need to finish off the fight. I only have one of the Mr. Fantastic pre-fights. And here I decide to play it fairly simple. But again, I'm going to have input issues where my champion's either going to freeze or just not going to react in time. And I nearly lose this fight. I nearly lose this fight here again because of same issues, basically. So at this point, I'm at level 2. He's going for his special attack. I'm just going to block that. That's fine. He is energized. Here, I tapped my special attack button immediately after that parry. Nothing happened. Okay, fine. We're still in this. And now he's unblockable, and I don't dex this. This one, I didn't try to dex. This one, I ate because I was bad. This one, I did dex, and she just stands there, and nothing happens. This special attack is 100% dashing backwards, because I knew he's going to reach me. And now he's at 1%, and my controls are iffy. So I figured I'm just going to throw the level 2, even if it goes in the block, because I should be able to do 1% damage in his block. And that's what I did. Now, then I think I went to do my AQ fights, and AQ controls were messed up as well. I referenced that in my full-on Alliance Quest run. But now I need to deal with Storm Pyramid X on this mini boss node. So I heal up my Black Widow, Deadly Origins. I have my boosts pretty much expiring there. I put on some extra boosts there, sure. And put on Indestructibility boost. And let's go back in with my Black Widow Deadly Origins. Now, one issue with this fight is still the bug, where my buff immunity will not activate at times. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. It obviously plays fairly significant role here. So ideally, the plan for this fight was to get in my Poison Curse, Power Steal as much as I can, and, you know, spam level 2s in order to outpace the high ground. So I think not here, but next special attack is going to be... Now, here I tried to run in, and Black Widow just didn't run forwards. She started hitting lights. So that's another kind of like an obvious problem here with controls. And I think it's going to be at some point somewhere here soon. So she obviously at some point stops throwing her special one, which lets her get plenty of high ground charges and nothing I can do about it. But, you know, fine, fair play. 2 high ground charges, we can deal with that. Now I would like her to throw her level 1 again, but she doesn't want to. So at this point the fight's starting to go bad. But we can see that, you know, as long as I dex out the special attacks, nothing bad is going to happen. And I'm actually very confident in fighting Storm Pyramid X because level 1 evade is super easy, but this happens. I don't get hit by this level 1. I have done this fight dozens of times. I have fought Storm on plenty of nodes on this map, and I have pretty much never been hit by that level 1, or like very, very rarely. So here I activate my level 2 dex, and I was dexing. My phone didn't think I was dexing, or the game didn't think I was dexing. And I eat that level 2, but that's fine. I had Indestructible 3 boost. It pushes me to level 3, unfortunately, which, you know, it's kind of going to screw with the charges that I have, and I'm unable to nullify the buffs for a while. But fine, whatever. There's a bit of slow on me, which is dealing damage over time, which, you know, I'm not that fussed about. The plan is to get in my healing curse, so bleed curse, and with that bleed curse I can heal up and mitigate the high ground damage, which is going to be super high now because she has 4 charges. So at this point we can see that, again, the dexes are very well timed. I have no problems at all dexing that level 1. No problems dexing that level 1. Never have had problems dexing that level 1. 6 high ground charges, super scary. And I know that I'm in a tight spot, but I also know that I can pull this fight out. I have plenty of time. And as long as nothing crazy happens, you know, I should be fine. And again, I just eat level 1. And I was dexing. I was swiping 100%. Now at this point, my phone might have sustained some damage. I just don't have anything to say. It honestly absolutely killed me in this war. Killed my confidence in myself in this game. And these both were really important deaths. These both were really important deaths. These are also the first deaths of my season. And honestly, right now, I just don't want to play anymore. I don't want to take any war fights at the very least. And you know, I'm just absolutely fobbed off. I think somewhere here in this clip as well, my dex is gonna mess up. I think somewhere here in this clip, yeah, here we go. Another level 1. Now, I can evade that. Have evaded it all the time. Never have had issue evading that level 1. And, you know, in these short, 10-minute interval, I have hit by that special attack 3 times. Getting hit by this special attack 3 times is more than I have been hit by Storm Pyramid X's level 1 since she came out. Or at the very least, this year. That is definitely... So I ate 3 level 1s from this Storm in total. That's more than I have done this year, for sure. in all the wars, in all the maps, and cav EQs and everything combined. So, I don't know. It just makes you not want to play the game. It's exactly what it is. It definitely makes you not want to play war. Especially when your team is trying, to place high in Masters. We have had bad season. And it's been harsh. And this... I feel awful for the deaths, but I feel even more angry because I don't feel like I did anything wrong. I don't feel like I died because I didn't play well. And on top of that, I did everything correctly. I had my phones restarted, backup apps closed. I always wipe my hands, wipe screen with tissues and wet wipes and everything like that. And it just doesn't seem to matter. And yeah, it just absolutely ruined my day. And it definitely makes me just not want to play. My entire team's probably pissed off at me. And, I'm pissed at me. And I probably shouldn't be, because I really don't think I fucked those things up. And this was last fighting Fury against Yellow Jacket, blah, 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 whatever. We are set to lose this war. The war is not over yet, but we are like down 3 deaths, I think. We would be like very, very close, because we have finished. They have about 20 notes to do. And if not for my 2 deaths, which are the first deaths of this season, and which is like the only war this year where I have died twice, or at the very least in like very, very long time. Well, we're gonna lose it. And it's very, very, very likely that we're gonna lose it because of my 2 deaths. And it feels fucking awful. And hey, if I play bad, if I do a bad job, I have no problems putting my hands up. And, in Nimrod fight, I'd be willing to concede even, I think that I was dexing. My memory tells me I was dexing. And, she should have moved backwards. But there was that issue where I got to level 3 when I shouldn't have. And, I shouldn't have gotten him to level 2 to begin with, especially not without having my own level 2 activated previously. So that I can count in 50-50 in my head. I think the game screwed me there, but I think I could have done better job not to put myself in that situation where Nimrod has an unblockable level 2 that kills me through indestructible boost. I don't think I should have died, but I'm willing to accept that fight because I could have played it better, and it was my fault that I got pushed to a level 3. That's fine. I'd live with that one. Everything that happened here afterwards, and also in Alliance Quest, I'm just absolutely furious about. But hey, what you can do? It's not like what I say is gonna change anything here. So here we are, and yeah, I'm gonna catch you guys soon. See ya. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about the next